Welcome to the debate. So here is a counterintuitive reality about the modern technological landscape. The organizations leading the most desperate, rapid implementation of advanced artificial intelligence aren't always the massive tech giants with, infinite research budgets.
Right. It's actually the opposite in many cases.
Exactly. Increasingly, it is the small, cash-strapped businesses fighting for their daily survival. Today, we are examining a comprehensive, systematic literature review of 50 studies published between 2016 and 2025.
And this review specifically analyzes this exact phenomenon, right? The adoption of artificial intelligence in small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs.
Spot on. And we are unpacking a fundamental philosophical and practical tension raised by this research. Does AI genuinely benefit these small enterprises by paving the way for sustainable innovation?
Or, conversely, does it ultimately harm them by locking them into a frantic pursuit of rapid return on investment? Mere financial survival?
Right. So I will be arguing that utilizing these technologies to secure immediate financial survival is the exact catalyst required to unlock sustainable, long-term innovation for smaller businesses.
And I will be representing the opposing view. I argue that the unique structural constraints of SMEs actually force a reactive, short-sighted adoption of AI. It focuses solely on rapid returns, which stifles genuine innovation and introduces systemic organizational risks.
Okay, so to start us off, when I look at this source material, I see a clear, undeniable narrative. AI is serving as a profoundly democratizing force.
Democratizing?
Yes. For decades, the gap between large multinational corporations and SMEs was defined by computational power and analytical resources. If you wanted to predict market trends accurately, you needed a floor full of data scientists.
Sure, the resource gap was huge.
But the data in this review shows SMEs are successfully leveraging advanced machine learning techniques to perform highly accurate sales forecasting and operational planning with incredibly small teams.
But at what cost to their infrastructure?
Well, they are doing this through models like XGBoost. Instead of relying on a single algorithm that might make a mistake, they are using a technique called ensemble learning.
Right, ensemble learning.
Imagine you're trying to guess the exact price of a commercial property. If you ask one expert, they might be off by, 20%.
Yeah, human error.
Exactly. But if you ask a sequence of 50 experts, and each subsequent expert specifically focuses on correcting the exact miscalculations of the person who spoke right before them, that's the underlying mechanism of models like XGBoost.
It's iterative correction.
It is. It allows a small team to predict market shifts with a level of precision that used to be completely impossible for them. Furthermore, we see generative AI and large language models being used to extract actionable insights from massive piles of unstructured data.
But they aren't building those models.
Overcoming traditional resource constraints through these AI applications is not merely, surviving. It is a foundational, sustainable innovation that allows small teams to execute advanced analytical approaches. AI levels the playing field. It gives them the operational breathing room to actually grow.
I come at it from a different way.
Okay, let's hear it.
The democratization argument sounds appealing. I'll give you that. But when you read the literature closely, it explicitly notes that SMEs operate with severe, defining limitations.
Well, all businesses have limitations.
Yes, but we are talking about chronic financial shortages, an acute lack of technical skills, entrenched organizational resistance to change, and major data security concerns.
Sure, the review mentions those hurdles.
They aren't just hurdles, they're structural deficits. You cannot simply drop enterprise-grade technology into that fragile environment and expect enterprise-grade innovation.
I think they are managing it better than you'd expect.
The text highlights a crucial finding. Unlike large enterprises that invest in long-term structural AI initiatives, SMEs explicitly prioritize solutions that offer rapid returns on investment.
Because they have to survive.
Right. But this creates an inherently defensive posture. When an SME frantically adopts a tool, like, say, slapping a natural language processing chatbot onto their website for 24/7 customer support just to cut overhead and reduce headcount, they are not innovating.
They're optimizing.
No, they are trapped in a cycle of financial survival. Implementing a chatbot to stop the bleeding does not magically build the internal data-driven culture required for true sustainable innovation. It merely kicks the can down the road while accumulating hidden technical debt.
That's a bit pessimistic, don't you think?
I think it's realistic based on the data. They are surviving today at the expense of their structural integrity tomorrow.
I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective. I think you're viewing cost-cutting and innovation as mutually exclusive. And historically, that just isn't true.
How so?
Think of the first motorized tractors introduced on a family farm.
Oh boy, a farm analogy.
Hear me out. Those tractors were incredibly expensive, and they were likely purchased strictly for the immediate financial survival of that year's harvest.
Okay.
The farmer wasn't thinking about revolutionizing global agriculture, right? They just needed to yield crops faster to pay their debts and survive the season. Yet that reactive survival tactic fundamentally revolutionized the nature of farming forever.
I see where you're going with this.
The exact same mechanism is at play in this literature. 32 of the reviewed papers specifically highlight AI adoption in operations and logistics. SMEs are utilizing deep learning models, specifically BERT models, to classify fake reviews and optimize their inventory.
Using pre-trained BERT models? Yes.
Let's look at how BERT works compared to old technology. Older models read a sentence like we do, sequentially, one word at a time, left to right.
Right, very basic processing.
Exactly. But BERT looks at the entire context of a sentence simultaneously. It sees the word bank and instantly knows from the surrounding words whether a customer means a riverbank or a financial institution.
Right, it has contextual awareness.
And for a small e-commerce business, that means they can perfectly categorize thousands of customer reviews and adjust their supply chain in real time. That is a structural transformation. It's a true modernization, born entirely out of a desire for operational efficiency and survival.
I mean, the tractor analogy is rhetorically elegant, I'll give you that, but it falls apart entirely under technical scrutiny.
Why?
It's the exact same principle of adopting a tool for survival that leads to modernization, because a motorized tractor operates in a closed physical loop. When a tractor breaks down, the farmer can see the smoke billowing from the engine, right? It doesn't pose catastrophic data privacy risks, and it doesn't require constant algorithmic retraining to prevent model drift.
Well, obviously the maintenance is different.
It's not just maintenance. When you bring up deep learning models like BERT for sentiment analysis, you are talking about technologies that require massive, clean data sets and robust technical infrastructure to maintain.
Right.
The literature is very clear that SMEs simply do not have that infrastructure.
But they are accessing these models anyway, which proves the infrastructure barrier is lowering.
Accessing a model and maintaining a model are two entirely different things. Let's look at how they actually operate when they lack infrastructure. They plug in an API from a third-party vendor. That is the modern equivalent of your tractor.
And it works for them.
It might provide a very quick, isolated financial win. The inventory optimizes, the margins go up for a quarter, and the leadership thinks they've successfully adopted AI.
Because they have.
But what happens when customer slang changes and the BERT model starts misclassifying sentiment? Because the SME lacks the technical skill to recognize model drift, their sales begin to drop, and they have absolutely no idea why.
They would notice a drop in sales.
But they would know the engine is failing because it fails invisibly. That quick win masks the underlying technical skill shortages cited in the study. It creates a dangerous illusion of modernization, while the organizational resistance and the lack of foundational data security remain completely unaddressed.
But that illusion, as you call it, is precisely what buys them the capital to build the infrastructure. You can't build a data-driven culture if your business goes bankrupt in the meantime.
I'm not saying they should go bankrupt.
The literature doesn't present these SME constraints as fatal flaws. It presents them as navigational challenges. I want to draw your attention to a specific concept proposed in the text regarding generative AI implementation.
The sailing metaphor?
Yes, the sailing metaphor. The literature suggests that SMEs can navigate these complex technological wins strategically. They don't need to build the massive engine from scratch. They need to learn how to catch the wind.
Right.
In practical terms, this means utilizing APIs and cloud computing to outsource the computationally heavy lifting of model training. By partnering with external vendors, they leverage pre-trained foundational models and fine-tune them for their specific needs.
But they still don't own the core technology.
They don't need to. They don't need a floor of data scientists. They just need a few trained individuals who know how to steer the ship. This sailing approach turns what you call a survival tactic into a long-term strategic dimension. They are learning to sail, and that is a sustainable skill.
I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that.
Why not? It's right there in the research.
Let me tell you why. The sailing metaphor is poetic, but it is dangerously idealistic when contrasted with the actual SME behavior documented in the data. Navigating technological winds assumes the crew is willing and able to sail.
And many are.
But the literature explicitly highlights that AI adoption is hindered by severely limited human resources and profound organizational resistance to change. Let me give you a concrete example from the text.
Okay.
The use of support vector machines, or SVM, for credit scoring and financial risk prediction in small finance firms.
Which is a massive upgrade from legacy systems.
It is, mathematically speaking. But look at the mechanism. SVM basically takes messy data. Imagine a bunch of red and blue marbles completely mixed together on a flat table, representing safe and risky loans.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
It's too messy to draw a straight line between them. So the algorithm mathematically tosses all those marbles up into the air into high-dimensional space.
Right, to find a pattern.
And figures out exactly how to slide a flat sheet of cardboard, a hyperplane, right between the red and blue ones to categorize the risk. It is mathematically dense and incredibly complex.
It is advanced, yes.
Now imagine forcing that system onto an under-resourced, traditional finance team at a small enterprise, just because leadership wants to hit a new key performance indicator for loan approvals.
Well, they'd have to learn the software.
But they don't understand how the marbles are thrown. They don't understand how the hyperplane is drawn. It's a total black box to them. Forcing complex systems onto resistant, undertrained teams just to meet short-term financial KPIs does not create a crew of sailors.
It creates efficiency.
It creates a culture of compliance and fear. It prioritizes short-term metric chasing over building a sustainable, intellectually curious culture of innovation.
That's an interesting point, though I would frame it differently.
Go ahead.
The fact that the finance team is interacting with support vector machines to assess creditworthiness is, in itself, a permanent leap forward from relying on management intuition or outdated spreadsheet macros.
A leap forward they don't understand.
You are looking at the friction of adoption. I am looking at the outcome. And if we look at how the literature evaluates the value generated by AI, it thoroughly contradicts the idea that SMEs are only chasing short-term financial metrics.
I don't see how.
The text points out that SMEs are actively measuring AI's impact through long-term indicators, things like customer satisfaction and complex process optimization, not just tomorrow's balance sheet.
Sure, they measure customer satisfaction, but...
Let me finish. In the fintech sector, for example, the review notes SMEs are deploying graph neural networks to assess creditworthiness and avoid financial distress.
Right, GNNs.
Graph neural networks are fascinating because they don't just look at isolated data points, like a single person's credit score. They analyze the relationships and edges between entities.
Which requires even more complex data integration.
But they look at who is transacting with whom, uncovering complex fraud rings or cascading risk across a network. By deploying that level of sophistication, SMEs are actively looking beyond next quarter's revenue. They are using AI to secure the structural integrity of their future. That is not just survival. That is the definition of sustainable growth.
I understand why you see that level of sophistication as structural integrity, but we have to look at a concept brought up in the text called equifinality.
Equifinality?
Yes. It's a principle mentioned specifically in the context of assessing SME creditworthiness.
Hold on. Equifinality just means there are multiple ways or paths to reach the exact same end state in a system. Are you saying that whether a small business uses a basic spreadsheet or a highly complex graph neural network, they are structurally doomed to end up in the exact same dangerous spot?
Precisely.
Wow. Okay, explain that.
The methodology embraces the idea that there are multiple paths to understanding risk. But here is the problem. In the context of SMEs, While there might be multiple technological paths, XGBoost, SVM, graph neural networks, they all currently lead back to the exact same end state, mere survival.
I completely disagree that it leads to mere survival.
But equifinality works entirely against your argument here. The SME's structural reality, their lack of capital, their lack of deep technical expertise, forces the application of that technology to be defensive, regardless of how advanced the math is.
It's a stepping stone, though.
Tracking basic KPIs or measuring customer satisfaction with a slightly better chatbot doesn't equate to a culture of innovation. Relying on these advanced models without deeply understanding them, without addressing the underlying data integration and security concerns that the literature explicitly flags as major vulnerabilities, that actively harms the enterprise's long-term viability.
It's better than doing nothing.
They are building a house on a foundation of sand, and they are simply using AI to calculate exactly how long until the sand shifts.
But isn't the alternative simply sinking into the sand today?
Not necessarily.
Let's look at another example from the research. If a small logistics or manufacturing company uses semi-supervised learning to analyze customer behavior and optimize their supply chain, they are interacting with their data in a fundamentally new way.
If they have the data.
Semi-supervised learning is brilliant for SMEs because it takes a tiny amount of labeled data, which is usually all a small business has the time or money to produce, and uses it to make sense of a massive, overwhelming amount of unlabeled data.
It's efficient, yes.
Yes. Their initial motivation might be pure survival. They might just want to reduce warehouse holding costs so they can make payroll this month.
Exactly, financial survival.
But the mechanism of doing so, learning to clean their data, learning to interpret algorithmic outputs, building strategic partnerships with cloud tech vendors, permanently alters the DNA of the company. It forces them to modernize their operations. Survival is the motivation, but innovation is the unavoidable byproduct.
It certainly alters the DNA, I agree with you there. But is it a beneficial mutation or malignant one?
I'd argue it's highly beneficial.
You mentioned semi-supervised learning. If a small manufacturing firm relies on a semi-supervised algorithm to optimize its supply chain, it is trusting a model that is largely teaching itself based on a tiny sliver of human input.
Right, that's how it scales.
But if that firm lacks the internal data science expertise to recognize when the model has drifted due to a sudden shift in global market conditions or disruption in raw materials, the algorithm will confidently and efficiently guide them into total financial ruin.
That's a dramatic worst-case scenario.
It's a very real scenario. The literature emphasizes the absolute necessity of robust technological infrastructure and comprehensive workforce training. By prioritizing AI solutions that offer rapid returns on investment, SMEs are systematically underinvesting in the very safeguards required to run these tools safely.
I hear you, but
The risk management aspect is being neglected in favor of the immediate operational payout. That is why I argue the current adoption paradigm is genuinely harmful. It's a sugar rush. It gives the board or the owners the illusion of digital transformation, while in reality, they're just introducing profound, poorly understood systemic vulnerabilities into their core operations.
I'm not convinced by that line of reasoning, mostly because it demands a level of operational perfection that simply doesn't exist in business, especially small business.
It's not about perfection, it's about basic safety.
You are asking SMEs to build a flawless, enterprise-grade technological foundation and hire a team of expensive experts before they are allowed to implement a tool that could literally save their business today.
I'm asking them to understand what they're buying.
That is an impossible standard. The literature review shows an incredible increasing momentum. 33 of the 50 papers were published just between 2023 and 2024.
The pace of adoption is staggering, yes.
This massive explosion in AI adoption, from generative AI to machine learning, proves that AI is the great equalizer. It is democratizing capabilities at an unprecedented rate. Solving immediate financial needs through rapid ROI isn't a trap. It is a ladder.
A ladder to where?
It buys SMEs the time, the capital, and the operational breathing room required to eventually invest in the very workforce training and data infrastructure you were talking about. You have to survive the short term to innovate in the long term.
Well, that is assuming they actually reinvest that newly acquired capital into infrastructure. rather than just using it to survive the next quarter and the quarter after that.
Businesses want to grow. They aren't just treading water forever.
The structural realities of SMEs, their tight margins, their skill shortages, cannot be wished away simply by the presence of a sophisticated large language model or a slick API. Adopting AI strictly for rapid financial returns forces a permanent reactive posture.
Even if it optimizes their entire operation?
You might successfully optimize an inventory process with machine learning today, sure. But by neglecting the comprehensive technological infrastructure and the human element, specifically the organizational resistance highlighted in the studies, you are risking long-term harm.
I see that as a separate challenge, not a reason to avoid adoption.
True innovation isn't just bolting a cutting-edge, high-horsepower engine onto a fragile, aging chassis, right? It requires reinforcing the chassis itself. And right now, the data suggests SMEs are just buying bigger engines and hoping the wheels don't fall off.
Well, we may fundamentally disagree on whether this rapid adoption is a ladder or a trap, but I think we can find common ground on the reality of the landscape we are looking at.
I think we can.
Based on this extensive literature, artificial intelligence is undeniably and permanently reshaping how small and medium enterprises operate, particularly in the realms of operations, logistics, and business intelligence.
Right.
There is no going back to the old way of doing things.
Absolutely. The application of these technologies across those specific business functions is practically ubiquitous at this point. The data makes that incredibly clear. And I think we both agree that overcoming limited internal expertise remains the ultimate bottleneck for these organizations moving forward.
Indeed it does. The sheer complexity of the SME ecosystem means there is no single universal answer to how these tools should be deployed.
Right.
This systematic review provides a vital foundation for future research into highly customized AI strategies, because ultimately, the balance a company strikes between tactical financial survival and long-term sustainable innovation will vary wildly depending on the specific context, the leadership, and the unique constraints of that enterprise.
It will absolutely require highly tailored approaches. What works for a small e-commerce retailer will not work for a traditional regional manufacturer. The structural realities dictate the strategy.
Which brings us back to where we started. There is no simple diagnostic tool for organizational transformation. Identifying the right path forward requires looking past the binary of success or failure and genuinely navigating the complexity of the technology and the business it serves. Thank you for joining us, and we leave the final judgment to you, the listener.